It's the 3rd day of May 2025. We're filming from rural Ireland, outdoors, real true education, not fake news. If we make an error, we correct it. If I said Winchester Chapel, I meant Winchester Cathedral, the Roman Catholic Cathedral in London. People took me up on that. I wouldn't have seen it being a major point. It's not fake news as such, but there you are. Now, I want to deal with the update on world events, because it's happening very quickly. Starting off in the east of Europe, start off with Ukraine briefly. The Trump administration has admitted now that the peace talks are over and it's back to the war there. They've done all they can for now. Russia is trying to consolidate their victory. They're meeting some resistance. And Zelensky is in a position that if he was to concede much there, he'd be killed. He'd certainly be killed in his own country, because the place is full of Nazis, of Nazi-minded people. And that's why it was so hard to do the right thing by the Russian population. They hated them and they were going to destroy them, and that's why the war started. So that's what you have there. Same as Adolf Hitler, no difference. I saw a film years ago, the Odessa File, and it explained all that. So anyway, how that goes now is anybody's guess, but Trump is not giving up on Ukraine. He has acquired a lot of the minerals rights and the resources, which is very sad, and very sad for the Ukrainian people to have to give away their resources to try and survive. He's also going to give some weapons. I don't think Trump will give up on Ukraine altogether, but at the same time, the thing has changed a lot, and it's over really to the Europeans, and they're nobodies anyway. So we'll mark time on Ukraine, please, if you don't mind. It's very sad. Next thing, we move to Hungary, and President Orban there he's on my side. He doesn't agree with the EU. They're trying to freeze him out, but they can't get him on any legal issue or anything like that. So he's still holding on, and so in this case in Czechoslovakia, there's talk of the leader, he's Fishy, I think is his name, going to the Russian celebrations of the victory in World War II over the Germans on the 9th of May, and the EU has warned him not to go. So we'll see how that goes. The next thing is that, as you know, in Romania, the president there now, listen, I haven't just checked it, I have to put my hand up. He's something like Cheus, Chisco. You'll get 5,000 printed here. But anyway, the person who was the front runner, he was like the Nigel Farage of Romania, had been banned by the courts, and this is what we expect, the weaponization of the courts. They weaponize the media, they weaponize the currency, and then they weaponize the courts, and that's happening all over, and that's part of the fight. But between the cultural Marxists and the globalists and us. So anyway, the thing is, the court banned him, which is very, very bad to give courts that power. And they said he was colluding with the Russians. More Russian collusion, of course. Nobody ever investigates or holds anyone to account for making these accusations. But anyway, the Supreme Court there has overturned that ban. Now, I'm not sure of the situation, but as I understand it, the elections are already sort of on the way, and he can't go back in. But there's a person there in his party who's going to run and have him in his cabinet, and that's a way around these bans, is get elected, have someone go on your behalf. For example, if it was Farage in England, let somebody else run, Tice or somebody, and then when they get in and control the parliament, change the law and take that power away from the judges. The right to appoint your politicians should rest with the people, not any single judge or anybody else, irrespective, no matter what they do. We have several crooks in Dáil Éireann, and that's the way it has to be. We are not entitled to ban them. So there's the story there. Now, so it's a ray of light that the court ruled in that way in Romania. Next, we move to Germany. The ADF, quite sensible party, who wants the migrants stopped coming in and wants the wrong ones of them sent home. They are now designated as a danger to Germany and effectively a terrorist organisation. So the next thing is now for the German Bundestag, the parliament, to decide whether to keep them out from elections, and that's one to watch. On one hand, if they keep them out, I don't know how that'll go, create more dissension. If they let them in, they could threaten the globalist communist regime that is now being formed under Mr. Mersch. So be aware of that. The next thing is we move to France, and as you know, they have banned Marine Le Pen. Same thing again. I'd advise them to let somebody else run and then put her in as the vice president, and then hold a new election when they change the law, hold a new election and put her in as president. That's one way around it. It is unbelievable breach of democracy, total and utter breach of democracy. There is just as much democracy in North Korea as there is in the European Union. Anyway, that's the way it is. The good news then is, of course, we know that in Holland, Geert Wilders has been kept out as well. That's more of it. But in Britain, anyway, we were said, and I said it here, that Keir Starmer would cancel the local elections, but he didn't cancel them. I suppose he couldn't, I don't know. But the big news is Reform UK won a seat, a by-election seat. One of the Labour crowd man hit a person on video, and he had to step down, and they won this election by 6 votes. So it's a feather in the cap of the Reform UK, and the lady that won, she's Poten or some name like that. She's really good, really good. The situation there is that that Lowe man is in a bit of trouble. He's still an MP. He left the Reform UK, and he's an independent, but I don't know how he votes or what. But anyway, it's a good victory. And they won a few mayoral seats. They won a few mayors, putting the Tories out, and they won a good few council seats. So really, the situation with the Conservative Party in England is that they're like if you had a great-grandfather and he opened a hardware business and he ran it well, and then his son took over and he ran it well, and then his grandson took over and he ran it well, and the present man is there and he's 96 and he's going into a nursing home, and his son is no good for anything, never was any good. All he's into is gambling, drinking, new age stuff, and he's into all mad stuff and throwing money all, and no financial management, no nothing, and the place is going down the tubes. You can vote any way you like, you can appoint him to any job, he will not do the business. That's the same with industries. They often hire people that will not work, will not do the job. That happens, they have to let them go. And then there's people, when they come in on the ground floor of a factory, that tell the management what to do. So this is the story. So anyway, the Conservative Party cannot recover. It should go off the scene. Any Conservative MPs that's any good should join Reform now. So they're a washout. They won a bit here and there. They have a small vote. So that's that. So then the next thing then we go on to is the defeat of Starmer. It's a big blow to him. He's not doing well. We'll see how it goes. Really and truly, Labour MPs should oust him and get him out of there. Him and Ed Miliband and his net zero madness is unbelievable. So we're winning a bit there. Here in the Republic of Ireland, we're beat altogether. 70% of the people in the last election voted for the globalists, Sinn Féin, Communist Party, Fianna Fáil, semi-communist, and Fine Gael, mad woke, semi-kind of communist as well. How can you get back from that? You couldn't get any party to win. You couldn't. It can't be done. We just have to hope that the outside world crushes them. That's all we can do. Maybe that's a bit pessimistic. Maybe I'm wrong, but that's my opinion, right? We'll move on. But here is the big one. You know about America. We're flying there. I was going well there with Donald. Really shook them up. But the big news is, oh, by the way, before I leave Donald, that Hexit fella and another lad, they had a breach of security where they let a left-wing journalist hear a cabinet meeting in America. If I was involved in that cabinet, that wouldn't happen. There's no way those breaches would happen. I was in the Garda Síochána as a detective sergeant, and I knew exactly where the weaknesses were. I knew if there was somebody might carry stories. I knew who to talk to. I knew how to put out false information to throw them off course. I knew how to do all that. That wouldn't happen if I were there. But among the things that J.D. Vance, it was Hexit and Vance said, I'm sick of bailing out Europe. They are putting 40% of their trade through the Red Sea. Why should we protect them? I'm sick of bailing them out. So quite clear the two men agreed that Europe wasn't worth minding bailing out or helping at all. And that's good news, and I hope to God we destroy the European Union and destroy NATO and leave them naked as a jay aboard. The emperor has no clothes. So anyway, that's that. Now we move on to what I meant to say. Canada. Canada is a very wide country. It's as you see it on the map. It's different. The globe is the best way to look at it. Very wide country, anyway. Very, very far across. I think it's nearly 3,000 miles across. Now, I was never in it, but I was in the states south of it, in North Dakota and Wyoming and Montana and Wyoming. Not Montana borders it, and so Alberta is the second farthest west state there is. And British Columbia is over along the coast, and I believe it has a climate very like Ireland. Funny enough, I think that's the case. So that bird he's intervening again. So anyway, the situation is Mark Carney won the election, but he hasn't a full majority. He's a rip-roaring globalist communist, net zero nutter. Canada's resources are more in the west than the east. The oil, coal and gas is more in the west. And so Alberta voted for Danielle Smith, a great conservative woman. And so she's blowing her trumpet and she's more or less telling them, either you shape up, you're not robbing us anymore. And it's the same happens in Ireland. In County Cavan, Monaghan, South Monaghan in Ireland, all the resources, the gypsum and the brick clay and all of this, all the industries are here near where I am. And all the money goes down to Cavan and is spent down in Arva and Cavan Town. We don't get hardly any here. We only got a secondary school in the last 5 years. So the point about it is that's what's happening there. So there's going to be a friction there. And you know that Trump said he'd be the 51st state. Carney has said, no, we are not coming in here. But he might yet. They might actually join Alberta with America. I'm not too sure, but there's going to be big friction. So just watch out for that. My job is to let you know what's happening. There's big friction now. Canada's sick of them. They're sick of the woke, cultural, Marxist stuff. So you essentially have the east of Canada, like Macron or Starmer's party, really left-wing, with this Carney. And indeed, a lot of people did vote for Carney. Now, one way or the other, they did. So what do you do with them? The thing to do with the left-wingers is put them in their own country. Don't let them mix with the like of us that make the wealth or that make the money or that keep things going. Keep them separated. So the breakup in Canada is on the cards. And the west of it, if they joined with British Columbia, they could. And I believe that the Constitution of Canada allows for it, where there's no procedure on the United States for a country to break away. The last time that was tried, it led to a civil war. There's no position in the Republic of Ireland for a county or region to break away from the Republic. Not easy done. But Canada's constitution does allow it because of the French. I think they give the French the option. Look, if you want to go on. I think that's what happened. But of course, the French are mad left too. So I believe there is legal procedure where they could, Alberta and possibly British Columbia could break away. So my job is to bring that to your attention, folks, so you understand that that's the way the movement is going. That doesn't mean it's going to happen anytime soon, but there will be serious tensions. Carney's meeting Trump, and we don't know what will happen there. I told you before about the trade imbalances, and I might do. Does anyone want me to do a video on the trade imbalances worldwide? They're ripping off the United States big time. As I said before, pound of butter, there's twice the value put on tariffs. A cord of wood, this very same, a lorry load of wood, twice the thing put on wood going into Canada, and you think they'll have enough of their own without putting the fines on America. But this is what's going to be sorted out. I'd say that'll be sorted out for Canada, but in the end of the day, Trump is drill baby drill, and Carney is no more oil, stop all oil again. So there's the way it's going. Now, have I given you an overall thing like that? It shows that my channel here is on the right track. I'm right on top of the tensions that's in the world with the globalists, the Marxists, the cultural Marxists, the mass migrations, and the conservative people. So you see that happening, and then the EU wanted to dictate to Africa, and the Africans got sick of them, and the Sahel area, the sub-Saharan Africa, is all gone over to China and Russia, so they get nothing there. And I think Trump may be trying to muscle in and get a bit some of that, but it's not going to be very easy. The whole continent of Africa to be lost to America and Europe is unbelievable stuff, but that seems to be the way it's going, and that's because of the madness and the woke baloney. Okay, have I explained that to you fairly good, folks? So the main thing is we gain some, we lose some, but the people are slowly moving, and the fact that Britain, we'll get you the final figures, I might post them underneath, the fact that Britain has voted for Reform UK in big amounts is a huge encouragement that the Conservative Tory party should really go. They should get out and leave the scene. All right, we'll see you back. Thank you very much. Bye bye. The 3rd of May 2025. Bye bye.